Hey everybody, this is Sam. Retiring with a net worth of $1 million should be fairly easy for you to attain, and today I want to go over exactly why this is the case. Really, the only catch here is that you truly need patience. So if you're looking for a get-rich-quick scheme, or you're looking to make $1 million in the next couple years or this current year, this is not the video for you, because that is not what we're going to be reviewing today. Everything that I review today is based on simple calculations that you can do yourself, and I'm going to show you exactly how I'm going to do it. If you are new to the channel, definitely consider subscribing and hit the like button so more people have the chance of seeing this video. How can achieving a net worth of $1 million be so easy? After all, it's a value that so many people tend to strive for. It's going to be way easier for you to earn $1 million than you ever thought was possible. Now, I've got nothing to sell here. I'm going to make exactly $0 on this video. So I just want to share my own personal opinions about how to make $1 million, how to have that net worth whenever you retire, in hopes that it actually truly helps some of you. First thing you need to consider is you need to understand what net worth actually is. To calculate, it's very simple. What you need to do is take the total value of your total assets minus your debts. Now, keep in mind, the assets also includes your house. Say you have a $300,000 house, you have a $200,000 mortgage, that means that you have $100,000 in equity. That would be considered an asset here. You also add in your cash, your retirement money, any collections that you may have, the value of them, and these are all going to be considered your assets. You then deduct what you actually owe on your mortgage, what you owe on credit cards, what you have in student debts, and that is going to give you your total net worth. So can the average person really become a millionaire? And that answer is yes. The reason behind this is very simple, and it's just because of a budget, patience, and discipline. The first thing you're going to absolutely need to do that you can actually do right now is create a budget of where all of your money's going. You have to know where all of it's going so you know how much you can invest. A budget's going to give you the ability and the freedom to understand where all of your money's going so that you know how much you're going to be able to save for your retirement. A lot of people shy away from budgets, and I understand, because it is a little additional work that you have to do every single week. But I guarantee that it's totally going to be worth it. What I personally like to do is I like to look at exactly what I'm making every single week, and I set aside 15% right off the top and act like I never even made it. This money is taken directly out of my paycheck and invested without really even any intervention from me. I don't think about it at all. This allows me to stay on top of my own retirement plan without really any worry. Now, if you're saying that you can't possibly shave 15% off of your income, you are falling prey to Parkinson's law. If you have not heard of Parkinson's law, it is very important. It states work expands so as to fill the time available for its completion. Now, this law also applies to your own income. If you make $30,000 a year, you're going to spend $30,000 a year. If you make $100,000 a year, you're going to spend $100,000 a year. This is why you have so many people in this country that are making 6 digits and they're still in debt. So to help yourself out, take 15% off, live on 85%, and act like you never ever even saw that 15%. This is really the only way that this is going to work. If you do this and invest wisely, you're going to see massive increases in the amount of money that you have by the time that you're retiring. The benefits are going to come in the form of compound interest. To see the actual benefits of compound interest, you have to have patience, because you're not going to see it immediately. You're not going to see the benefits this year, next year, in the next 5 years, even in the next 10 years. What you're going to do is you're going to see the benefits in the next 20, 30, 40 years. You can't be sitting around thinking about different schemes to make a quick buck or have unrealistic retirement goals of like retiring by the age of 35. You're just going to be sorely disappointed. True, some people are able to do this. Some people retire by the time that they're 30. However, the odds of that happening are so slim. Why don't you set yourself up for success rather than disappointment? Set yourself up with a much more realistic goal of retiring by the time you're, say, 59 and a half or 65. This will take a lot of persistence and a lot of intentional spending of your money. But by the time you're 60 or 65, you are going to be so thankful that you did this. Now, I'm not saying that you should give up your youth and maybe not live a little, but I'm just talking about 15%. Just 15 cents of every dollar that you make is going to guarantee that you're a multimillionaire by the time that you're retired. So here's an example of what exactly is possible. The average individual in the United States is making about $31,000 every year. Let's assume that this person starts their career when they're 25 years old and they start saving 15% and investing it every single year until they're 65. What would their net worth look like? By the time that they retire at age 65, after 40 years of investing wisely, their net worth would be over $2.2 million just in their retirement plan. And that may seem unrealistic, and it is unrealistic because this is assuming that that person never receives a raise. So this value should be much higher. They just earn $31,000 every year from the time they're 25 to 65. This value will also be much greater if this person's married. Now, the average household in the United States is making $56,000 per year. Assuming that this couple never receives a raise for 40 years, they make $56,000 every year and they save 15%. What would their value be worth? This would be worth over $4 million. I'm sure by just looking at those two examples, you really understand the value of compound interest. Obviously, things are even better if you're making more money. The average college grad in this country is making about $50,000 per year. If you and your spouse are both making about $50,000 a year, so $100,000 household income, your value will be worth over $7 million. This all comes down to setting up a proper budget, having patience, and investing wisely. Now, you may be wondering, where can you invest to see results like this? In my opinion, the first place that I would be looking at is your company match 401k, if it's available. Say that you're working for a company that does offer a 401k or 403b, something along those lines, and it offers a match. It may be 3%, it may be 4 or 5%. Whatever that is, I would put that number in there. So if they're going to match 4%, I'd put 4% of my income directly into that 401k plan. 5%, doing 5%. It's going to be really tough for you to ever find any other type of investment that's going to be a 100% guaranteed match other than one of these. So take the free money. This investment's then going to go into something like S&P index. You're going to have some type of leeway into what you want to invest in these, but it's going to be fairly limited. But if you just look for an S&P index, which is going to be very common, you're going to average about 9.8%, which it's done over the past 90 years. Now, this 401k is not taxed when you put the money into the plan. It's only taxed when you pull the money out. This is a huge benefit, and here's why. If you're making $50,000 right now, your tax rate is going to be much lower than when you retire and you start pulling from this fund, because at that point, you're going to be making more than $50,000. So pay your taxes now at the lower rate than when you're retired and you're paying at a higher rate. More on this at the end of the video. The second place that I would look to put money is a Roth IRA. As of this year, you can invest $6,000 per person into a Roth IRA. So a married couple can have $12,000 going in. The nice thing about a Roth IRA is that you have more choices than you do in a 401k. You can decide on individual stocks, individual mutual funds, or indexes that you want to put your money into. So if you invest wisely, you can beat the market of 9.8%. Your best option here is probably investing in mutual funds. Now, not just any mutual funds, because there are some that are definitely going to be performing lower than the index. So you may want to look for a financial advisor to help you choose which mutual funds you want to go into. Personally, I have hired a financial advisor to help me pick these mutual funds because I just didn't feel comfortable. This is a ton of money that I'm putting into there every single month. So I want to make sure that I'm doing this right, because for the next 30, 40 years, I want to make sure that they're the right mutual funds to be choosing. If you are concerned at all about picking which mutual funds or indexes to go into, I strongly advise that you look for a financial pro to help you with these decisions. Great thing about a Roth IRA is also that when you're pulling this money out, it's going to be 100% tax-free. The reason for this is that you already paid the taxes on the money before you put it into the account. Now you can start pulling this money out at 59.5, so it's going to be locked up for quite a while, but that's a good thing. You do not want to pull it out early though, because you're going to pay huge fines if you do. Say that you have a Roth IRA that's worth $7 million. By the time you're 59.5, you truly have $7 million. You don't pay any more tax on that. Now your third option here, say that you just invested in your 401k, you invest in your Roth IRA, and you still haven't hit 15% of your overall income. I suggest going back into your 401k and investing there. Again, the nice thing here is that the money's not taxed before you put it in there. It's only taxed whenever you're pulling it out. This money won't be in mutual funds. You're probably not going to be beating the market because you're going to be truly investing in the market, and some kind of index is going to be similar to the S&P, which still, 9.8%, that's going to be really nice. Overall, in combination with your 401k and your Roth IRA, you should be making over 10% in interest every year for 30, 40 years. Now, when you retire, how can you make sure that you're sustaining this income? The answer here is pretty simple. What you're going to do is you're going to pull out less money than you're making in interest. When you hit 59 and a half, or whenever you're going to be retiring, you're not just going to pull out the entire amount. Say you have $5 million in there. You're not just going to pull out and have $5 million in cash. You're only going to pull out a percentage of that. First off, if you did pull that out and you had it all in cash, you're going to pay an outrageous amount of taxes on that. Second, this approach isn't sustainable because if you have all of this money liquid, you're going to think, oh man, I've got tons of money. I can go ahead and buy a car, I can buy a new house, I can buy fancy clothes, whatever you want, but that's not going to be sustainable because you're not going to make any interest on it. You'll be much more likely to just blow your money if you have it in liquid form. Say your account is just making the 10% that we talked about. If you're pulling out 8%, try and live on that. Say your account's making 10% in interest every single year. Try living on pulling out 8%, and you'll find that you're making a lot more money in retirement than you ever did throughout your working career. If you saved $2.2 million into this account, it's going to be making about $220,000 every year in interest. If you live on just 8% of your account, that's going to be $176,000 every year, which is more money than you ever made in a single year while you were actually working. This is going to be great because you're going to be making 10% in interest, you're only going to be pulling out 8%, so your account's going to continue to grow. This $2.2 million account is also based on that $31,000 average that the average American citizen is making every year. This is very realistic. This person would have been paying their taxes on $31,000 a year every year, and now they're making $176,000 a year and they're not paying any tax on that. How beautiful. Again, patience, budget, and invest wisely. Let compound interest work for you. So I hope that this video has ultimately helped you understand better as to how easy it is to become a millionaire and how achievable and realistic this really is. I know that this can seem like a crazy time to invest. Every single day you go in and you see the market's up or down or up or down, but you got to look at the long picture. We're always going to have dips. We've had plenty of them in the past, but we always recover. And we're going to recover from this as well. So think long term. Think 20, 30, 40 years. The earlier you get in, the higher chance that you have of having a huge net worth by the time that you're retiring. You just need to ignore the day-to-day market and just look at overall what it's going to look like if you're investing 15% that's making 10% interest on average. We may be down 30% this year, but we might be up 35% next year. We may be down 5%. We may be up 10%. It's just going to average out. You've got to keep that in mind. If this video helped you, please be sure to share it with anyone that you think that could also find value from it. I hope that you enjoyed it as much as I enjoyed making it, and I hope to see you in the next video.